Hi everyone, this is Nadeem from CGT and Digital, and with me is the very talented Su Yuting.
Hello Nadeem.
Hi Su, how are you doing today?
Yeah, it's very fantastic being with you, Nadeem.
Well, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Su and I today are in Nanning in South China's Guangxi-Zhuang Autonomous Region, and we're here for a very special occasion, which is the China-ASEAN Expo, and this year it's the 14th edition of the event.
Yes.
Now, how are you feeling today?
I'm very excited. You know that I was here last year for the coverage of the China-ASEAN Expo, and this is my second time here. So, you know, I just quite busy these days. I come back from Xiamen for the coverage of the BRICS Summit, and I just sleep about 3 to 4 hours per day. Right. But I'm still very excited to be here.
You know, and there's quite a good reason for you to be excited today and for me to be excited today, because we are going to go on a tour around the most charming cities in China and in ASEAN countries or Southeast Asia.
Yes, so, exactly. We have 11 different cities. Right. That's China and 10 plus ASEAN countries.
Can you name them?
Oh, it's quite a lot, you know, and each city will respectively select their own cities of charm.
Right. This started, so right now we are at the Pavilion of the Cities of Charm, right at the China-ASEAN Expo.
Yes.
And this pavilion started in the second edition of CAEXPO, so that was in 2005, because in 2004 was the first edition. And so every country participating, either China or the 10 ASEAN countries, they would choose every year one city to showcase its natural beauty, its landscape, but at the same time its history and culture.
Yes.
And today we are going to tour
around.
Yes, around these 11 cities. Hopefully we will be able to finish them. So without further ado, let's start. But do you have your visa? Do you have your passport?
Yeah, I have my Chinese ID.
Okay, that's good. And I'm traveling light, so let's go. We're starting with...
I think Chinese people were very welcoming you from Lebanon.
Thank you. I do feel welcomed in China.
Yeah.
So we are going to start with we're starting from home, and then we're going abroad.
Okay.
So Ningbo is this year's China's pick for the City of Charm.
Yeah, I've never been to Ningbo.
So Ningbo is in East China's Zhejiang province.
Yes, in Zhejiang
I've
province.
been to Zhejiang, but I've never been to Ningbo. I've been to Wuzhen.
That's my hometown in Zhejiang province. I strongly recommend you to go to Zhejiang.
Okay.
Now it's Qizhou.
Okay.
It's not far away from Ningbo, and it takes about 2 hours riding by car from Qizhou to Hangzhou, and Ningbo is in the northeastern city.
So there's no better person. There's no better person right now to speak about Ningbo than you.
Okay. So I will introduce something about Ningbo.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you have to tell us about Ningbo?
Ningbo is a very ancient city. It's one of the oldest one in China, and its history can be dated back to around 7,000 years ago.
That's a lot.
Yeah, in Hamudu culture. Yeah.
And I know that it's not just its historical or heritage significance that matters, it's also its present day significance, because Ningbo is a coastal city, and it is along the 21st century. We'll get to that later, but Ningbo is right now a port city as we stand, coastal city, and it's along the 21st century maritime Silk Road. And actually, this year's theme for the China-ASEAN Expo is integration through tourism, which is why we're here, and it's also about the maritime Silk Road. But that's a topic for another day, perhaps tomorrow. Now, so Ningbo is the latest pick from China. In previous years, let's say last year it was Fuzhou. Before that it was Nanning, it was Beijing, Shanghai, Tianjin. So China's been very busy picking these beautiful cities, and you and I are residents of Beijing.
Yes.
So China's been busy picking all these beautiful cities to showcase, and each city in China, not just in China but also in Southeast Asia, each city has its own charm, it has its own beauty, and that's what we're trying to find out today. You spoke about the 7,000 years of history, and you mentioned the
Homodu culture is a very traditional one, and the Ningbo, the city is very famous for its port, and it's one of the very busiest ports here in Ningbo. So that's the reason why Ningbo is full of foreigners, and the first traveler come from Japan.
That's good. That's nice.
Japanese want to learn some of the Chinese culture as well.
Well, we all want to learn about other countries' cultures, and that's what we're trying to do today, to get a quick taste of China and all 10 ASEAN countries. I know that Ningbo is called Yong, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But what does Yong mean? Because Nanning is also called, we are in Nanning, just FYI. So Nanning is also called Yong, and that is related to river. But what is Ningbo?
Ningbo is very famous for its rivers, and because it's the coastline city, and you can have lots of seafoods there, abundant.
And so
seafood.
Yong means?
Yeah, Yong means the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's the nickname of Ningbo.
Ningbo.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've done
Ningbo.
And now we're going abroad.
Okay.
Abroad between
from
pockets.
Ningbo to many other cities of the ASEAN country.
And we're starting with the closest, but not geographically, just the closest here at the pavilion. It's Indonesia. Indonesia is one of the many tourist attractions for Chinese tourists.
Yes.
Actually. And it has plenty of wonders. So we're going to speak with one of the exhibitors to speak more about Indonesia and to speak about the
that's very special creature.
Right. So hi. And so can you please tell us about Indonesia's tourism?
Yes. Today we present this Indonesia City of Charm Pavilions. So we present some iconic art of Indonesia. For example, we have the barong lion. This barong made from Bali. This barong describes about the good things against the bad things. And this barong also can use our dancer to traditional dance performance in Bali, and also in some other try to explain about the goodness in Indonesia.
So, are there going to be any performances? What are the activities that you guys are having for this event?
Yes, of course. We have the dance performance coming from the Lampung province, one of the province in Indonesia, located in Sumatra. We perform every day, twice days in the 11 and then 3 o'clock every morning, and also we perform the fashion show to showing of Indonesian traditional clothes.
Right. We saw one of the performances yesterday, and it was quite quite nice.
Really? Well, I appreciate. Thank you.
I have one last question. If you were to describe Indonesia in one word for tourists to come, what would you say about Indonesia?
It's a wonderful Indonesia. It's a wonderful Indonesia. You can come to visit Indonesia because we have a lot of beautiful things in Indonesia. We have the destinations, we have a beach, we have for the diving, we have the mountains, we have the very friendly people, very welcoming all the people over the world to come to Indonesia.
I would attest to that because I think Indonesians, I have a few Indonesian friends and they are one of the nicest people. So I would suggest everyone would go to Indonesia. Even though that I personally have not been.
And I think maybe you can come again and again, right? Because we have the several culinary, and we also offer for the trading, investment, industry, and also for the beautiful of Indonesia, for the tourism.
And for Chinese tourists, actually Chinese tourists do not need to have a visa to go to Indonesia, right?
Yeah. So now recently, the Chinese tourism is the very most people tourism coming to Indonesia.
Yeah.
Recently,
it's booming. The industry is booming. Thank you so much, and good luck with your exposition.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye. We just saw the slogan, "Remarkable Indonesia."
It is.
Yeah. I've never been to Indonesia. You?
I have never been as well to Indonesia,
yeah.
but maybe one day. I mean, it's easier for you as a Chinese national to go because there are visa exemptions for Chinese nationals to go to Indonesia, whereas for Lebanon, I'm assuming that we need to have our visa, so I don't want to go through that hassle. But
I'm very impressed by this creature.
It's a mythical creature, and it represents the good, he said, versus the evil.
Yeah.
And it actually is represented in a performance, a dance performance, but we don't have the chance to see it
maybe
today.
Next time. Yeah.
Maybe in the next live stream, perhaps. Now from Indonesia, we're going
go to another place.
Cambodia.
Cambodia.
Now Cambodia.
Oh look, Nanning, it's a very traditional architecture.
It's a temple, actually. It's a temple, and I guess that there is some sort of a performance. So if we can go check the performance before we speak a bit about it. Now Cambodia is a major touristic destination as well, especially after its temples. You have the Angkor Wat temple there. If you can just take a look at.
Wow, that's a typical one.
This is one of the world's cultural heritage sites, and it's very famous. Basically, because I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. It's a game, and then it was adapted into a movie, and it was in Cambodia, and that's where it got its international fame. Plus, intrinsically, it's a very beautiful place.
Yeah.
But then there's another world cultural heritage site that is the Vhere Temple. I hope I said it correctly. I'm sure.
Vhere.
So this is another temple that is also enlisted in the UNESCO's list, but it's less famous. And this year, it's the highlight of Cambodia's booth at the Cities of Charm Pavilion at the China-ASEAN Expo. And I guess that there's some sort of...
Yeah, you can see lots of people here. They just want to take a photo with this very traditional people from Cambodia.
I think that people are curious to understand and to get to know about other cultures and about what is it so traditional about other cultures. You know, Chinese travelers are going out abroad more and more. China's biggest exporter right now is its outbound tourism. Last year, 135 million Chinese tourists. It's the number one country for outbound tourists. And so they want to know about other countries. They want to see things that they haven't seen at home, perhaps, and to taste the culture of the countries that they visit. And I think that it's a venue like this where they can get to know what to expect from their visits to, say, ASEAN countries, especially that ASEAN countries are close by and with air connectivity, with visa facilitation. And so you see a lot of Chinese tourists going to ASEAN countries.
It's much easier for Chinese to go to ASEAN countries.
It's close home and it's very convenient. And to be honest, Southeast Asia is a tropical paradise. So
you can see the forests and the lovely elephants, right?
We'll get to the elephants, but before, now that we spoke about forests and nature, we just arrived to Vietnam. And when we say Vietnam, we say tea.
Yeah, tea. The black tea, pink tea, and green tea.
And let's drink tea, actually.
Okay. Will you have a try?
Are you a tea person?
I just drink tea quite a lot at home.
Okay.
It's a good way to relax yourself, and it's very traditional Chinese culture of drinking tea.
But today we're going to try, or at least speak about
which one you prefer?
Tea from Vietnam. Hi.
Can you tell us the Vietnamese tea shop?
Can you tell us a bit about Vietnamese tea?
Vietnamese tea really bitter.
Really bitter.
First, really bitter. But at the end, you will have a really sweetness. It's so true.
Can we try? Is it possible to try? So she's saying that it's bitter, and then there's an aftertaste of sweetness.
Wow. So what kind of tea you are making now?
We have black tea and green tea as well. But with the green tea, we are blending with the flower, a lot with flower.
Oh, flower tea. You like flower tea?
I guess so.
Yeah,
This
have
is
a
green
taste.
tea. Are you not going
I hope you will like it
Are you
very
not
much.
going to try it?
Try the green tea first.
Thank you.
that freshness.
Yeah.
It is bitter. It's actually bitter.
It's a little bit sweet.
Do you think it's sweet? For me, I think it's
Yeah.
bitter. I guess we have different taste buds.
Thank you.
Thank you. And do people usually like this bitterness?
Sorry?
Do people usually like the bitter tea?
Yeah, actually in Vietnam, the more bitter, the more people like it because the more bitter, the more sweetness.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about in China? Do people like bitter tea?
I think I like sweet tea, but see, most of the tea are bitter tea.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why you have to add sugar to it.
Yeah, a little bit sugar.
Nowadays we use stevia leaf. Do you know stevia leaf? The sweetness
Oh, yeah.
instead of sugar, because sugar is not good for you. So like we blending with like a lot of flower in here, rose, like chamomile, and you know I have like hibiscus and lemongrass.
Yeah.
And we put a little bit of stevia leaf here, so makes you like have like sweetness taste, but you don't need sugar.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, so no sugar.
No sugar.
All right.
What kind of flowers?
Chamomile, you see the very
Chamomile.
Vietnamese chamomile here,
Uh-huh.
and this is a rose.
Ah.
Yes, the rose here, and the red side is hibiscus.
Oh, it's colorful, right?
It is.
Red, yellow, and
Blending
green.
with tea.
And do you usually what do you have with tea in Vietnam?
We have like a lot of like kind of like Vietnamese cookie, and we have like the foods go together. It's almost of them made from rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Made of rice.
Made of rice.
Made of rice. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And good luck with the booth.
So you like
So
the
this
tea?
is Vietnam.
Yeah.
I'm a coffee person, but I don't mind tea. Now I just want to say that for Nanning, Vietnam is important because Vietnam shares borders with Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region, where Nanning is, and that makes Guangxi a very important provincial level region in China because it's the gateway between China and ASEAN. That's because, as we said, it has the land border with Vietnam,
Yes.
over 1,000 kilometers, but it also has water connections to ASEAN countries because Guangxi is a coastal region. And so Nanning, for example, is 100 kilometers away from the sea, and it's only 200 kilometers away from the Vietnamese border. Now, that might sound like a long distance, but for Chinese standards, it's actually not. And that's why Vietnam is a close neighbor to China.
Close neighbor, and it's not far away from China, as you said. We can just travel to the border,
Yeah.
and it takes you just a little bit time to Vietnam.
And you know, one fun fact about Vietnam, I have like a list of fun facts that I wanted to
What's
say, but one fact about Vietnam is that Vietnam is the dark horse among ASEAN destinations for Chinese tourists. It's because people usually go to big places like Philippines or Indonesia or Thailand. But actually last year, the year-on-year growth of Chinese tourists in Vietnam was 146%.
Wow, that's
And
quite
so
a lot.
Chinese tourists are increasingly going to Vietnam. And it's just like a fun fact that I came across that I wanted to share about Vietnam. Now moving on from Vietnam, we have the Philippines.
Philippines.
Have you ever been to the Philippines?
Now, you?
I have not been to the Philippines, but I know that the Philippines is one of the most important destinations for Chinese tourists, and actually it's one of the destinations where it's one of the top 10 destinations for Chinese tourists, and I'm guessing that more and more tourists from China are going to go to the Philippines because in August of this year, so it was a few months ago, that the Philippines introduced a new policy, which is visas upon arrivals scheme for Chinese tourists. So the hassle of applying for a visa and waiting for its issuance is something of the past for Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're in Philippines booth.
We are.
Yeah.
Do you want to go in?
like to take a look?
They just finished the performance because it was so loud and everyone was just curious about what they were doing. And now, as we arrive, it seems that
They're preparing for another show, right?
perhaps.
Look at the shoes.
Look at the shoes.
Yeah, is that handmade shoes? Is this the traditional Philippines shoes, right?
Are these handmade shoes?
The lining is first wear. The people weave it and then they cut it to fit the feet.
Ah.
Only the lining is handmade.
Only the lining is handmade.
Oh. It's not quite expensive. It only takes you about 23 yuan.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's cheap. All right.
You can take one and walk along the seaside, right? The coastline.
Well, we're a bit far from the sea, around 100 kilometers. But so
you know that there are lots of booths for us to tour around. And yesterday, when I was there at the opening ceremony, Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli said that China has already been ASEAN's largest trading partner for 8 consecutive years.
Yeah.
And ASEAN is also China's 3rd largest trading partner for 6 consecutive years.
cooperation between China and ASEAN countries has been on the rise since they established their friend relationship in 1991, and then the strategic relationship in 2003, and then with the ASEAN-China free trade area coming in.
That's the largest free trade area among developing countries.
In 2010, so over 7,000 products, the tariffs on them were cut after the free trade agreement was made. But not only is the cooperation between China and ASEAN revolves around trade, it's also about tourism, it's also about investment, it's also about people's exchanges, and that's the whole point of setting up this pavilion where people can come learn a few things about other countries, maybe decide to go. China also has its own few booths, so China can introduce itself to other visitors and vice versa.
Yeah, you know that Ningbo, the Ningbo booth, Ningbo city is just very famous for its tourism sports, and it's also very famous for the traveling. And this year's China-ASEAN Expo is focused on building the 21st century maritime Silk Road.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So shall we continue?
Yeah, let's go.
Right.
So next one will be.
So another fun fact about the Philippines is that, as we said, every year a country would choose one of their cities. But apparently, according to CAEXPO statistics, the Philippines has the highest numbers of featured cities in 13 years. So in 13 years, there were 15 cities from the Philippines that were showcased, which means that in a few years, there were more than one city that was featured.
So every year since the second China-ASEAN Expo,
2005.
they select each city. Yeah.
Now, across the Philippines is Brunei Darussalam.
Brunei is the country of honor, and this time they just send around 100 representatives to this expo.
So every year there is a country of honor that is chosen, and they usually follow the alphabetical order. So the first time that Brunei was the country of honor was actually in 2004. So it's been
it's 14 years.
2004
should be the first year of the China-ASEAN Expo.
Then it's 2007.
So it's
been 10
time.
years.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years that Brunei was chosen the country of honor. And Brunei actually has just started to be on the tourist map for Chinese. China is the second biggest tourist importer for Brunei after Malaysia. And yesterday I was having an interview with a few of the travel agents from Brunei, and they told me that they really count on Chinese tourists for their tourism sector, because tourists from China come for any time between 3 days and 6 days. And last year they were second, this year as well. They were second after Malaysia, but unlike Malaysia, because Malaysia is close to Brunei, so Malaysian would just drive all the way to Brunei, stay for a day, and then come back. Whereas for China, China makes the biggest leisure and holiday market for Brunei, even though that it accounts for lesser of the market than Malaysia. And last year there were around, if I'm not mistaken, 40,000 Chinese tourists in
total,
in Brunei. In Brunei, yes. And what else do I know about Brunei? And the whole revenue from Chinese tourism in Brunei accounted for $4.8 million.
Wow, look!
And we were just in time
very
for
performance.
a performance.
Look at the costume. It's a very traditional Brunei one.
We're seeing one of the famous mosques in Brunei. It's made of gold.
Oh, it's golden.
It's golden plated. And yesterday when I was speaking with the travel agents from Brunei, they told me that Chinese tourists are very interested in the royal heritage of Brunei because Brunei is a sultanate. And so they have a sultan who actually came for the opening yesterday.
And today President Xi Jinping just held meeting with him. Yeah.
So they told me that the Islamic culture is something that draws Chinese tourists for Brunei, as well as the royal heritage of the country. Another travel agent told me that ecotourism as well is something that draws a lot of Chinese. The packages, they said, are not cheap, so they really focus on the experience for Chinese tourists. And actually, if you go to Brunei, you can stay overnight at their national park. And yesterday, one of the travel agents
Stay overnight at the national park.
Yes, and then
that's
they
an
said
amazing experience.
they will wake you up at 5 in the morning. Then you can see the sun rising. And Brunei has, speaking about sunrise and sunset, Brunei reportedly has the most beautiful sunset in the world.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so Brunei is something that Chinese tourists would be worthy of considering to go. Now, from
Where are you now?
Brunei, it's Laos in the house. So
Look at the house. It's very special one.
it's a hut. It's a hut. Now, Sayabuli province in Laos is known as one of the elephants capital in the country.
Elephants Festival. It's a very famous one, right?
Yes, the Elephants Festival.
Yeah, let's take a look.
The Elephants Festival. The Elephants Festival is
Look at the elephant.
started
Lovely
in
elephant.
2007, and it's done as a touristic event to draw international visitors, but at the same time, it's also for wildlife conservation, to raise awareness about elephants and how important they are for the ecosystem. And another thing that I actually want to speak about, let's make it a bit personal. I know that you have had an experience with elephants.
Yeah, I ride on the elephant.
Where was that?
Lovely. In Yunnan province.
Yunnan, Southwest China.
Yeah, I was on a vacation and I ride on the elephant.
How was it?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a very lovely one. It's a small one.
Oh, so it's a small elephant.
Yeah, elephants are very smart. They can play football and they can, if you put a hat on your head, they can just take it off.
Okay.
And you can even, just sit on
their
nose.
trunk. On their trunk.
Yeah.
Oh, that's I've never seen an elephant up
I
close,
strongly
to be
recommend
honest.
you to have the chance and ride on an elephant.
I've had a bad experience with a camel. So
Oh,
after
tell
that,
me the
I'm
bad
very
experience.
apprehensive of riding any wild animal. So I would just look at them from afar.
Yeah, we are very good friends with the natural creatures like elephants and camel.
So yeah, and another thing that is important about this province in Laos is the rice.
Rice.
Because it's known as the rice basket of the country, and that's because its output in crops, wheat, rice, maize, corn. It's known as this province, which is the city of charm for Laos this year. It's known as the rice basket of the country.
Yeah, look at the rice. They have a very distinctive rice on display. The sticky black rice.
This is white and black sticky rice.
You know, Ningbo is very famous for its small tangyuan. It's a stuffing usually wrapped up with some of the sticky rice powder.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think I've tried it.
It's very delicious one.
Okay.
If we use some of the sticky black rice together and, you know, stuffed with pork, it will be very delicious.
I bet it would. I bet it would. So there you go. I'm always afraid of pronouncing the name wrong because, you know, in English I would just say it's sayabuli, but I don't know whether this is how it's pronounced or not. But this is the rice basket in Laos, and we are moving. How many countries have we visited so far?
Oh, I think five countries, right?
Just 5.
Vietnam,
Laos, Brunei, Philippines, Indonesia, and China. 5. 6 more to go. We have 6 more to go. We've reached Myanmar.
Yeah.
A lot of visitors want to take pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have performances as well. Dachi.
There is a performance over there. Let's take a look at the performance. It's very gorgeous dancing, you see. So in Yunnan province there is a Dai ethnic group. So this kind of dancing of Myanmar is, you know, just looks similar to the traditional Chinese dancing.
Am I a good dancer? I have 2 left feet, so I wouldn't say that I have good dancing skills. So for those who have just joined us, we are broadcasting live from the Cities of Charm Pavilion here at the China-ASEAN Expo in Nanning. Today is the 2nd day. The opening ceremony was yesterday, and we are broadcasting live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Weibo for our Chinese audience. So if anyone has comments, questions, or experiences of travel to Southeast Asia, please do share it with us. We will be reading your comments. We will be answering your questions. If you have any shout out, send it our way, and do interact with us here at CGTN.
Yes, stay with us and you can send us any question you like.
So, what? Oh, I take pictures with him.
Yeah, would you like to take a photo with them? So we can see it's a very traditional Myanmar one.
Hi. Can you tell us about your outfit?
Yes, this is, how can I say, we are from Burma, so this is
ethnic like Shan, so our traditional clothes. That is.
And how do you feel? Is it your first time in China?
Yes, because I'm proud of our nationality because we can perform at China, so everybody like in an Asian will know about our culture, our tradition and like that.
Can you show us some traditional dancing moves that you guys perform? Like we see behind you, there is a beautiful lady who is dancing. Can you show us some traditional moves of dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Do you want to?
I think
Can you show us if that's not too much to ask? Well, there you go. All right, thank you so much, and we wish you an enjoyable time here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you. Bye. You should join him. It's not that difficult.
Well, I've had my share of dancing, and now from Myanmar,
And
we
then
are
to
moving to
Singapore. Yeah.
Singapore. You've been to Singapore, I know.
Singapore is a very clean city and country. You know, every year they select Singapore always.
Yeah, Singapore always selects Singapore. The country selects the capital. But tell me about your experience in Singapore.
Singapore is a very friendly city, and when you come to Singapore, it's a very clean, good blue sky, and people are very friendly there.
Well, Singapore is also one of the major touristic destinations for Chinese
people. Yeah.
And it's very close as well, and so that also helps. We're going to speak to
Wow, it's gorgeous.
the
day.
representatives of this booth. Hi.
Hey, hello.
Can you tell us more about the Peranakan?
Okay.
Did I say it right?
Actually, it's like Peranakan. Because it's like they pronounce P like B.
B.
Yeah, it's like the same as B. So it's
Okay.
like Peranakan. Maybe we're like, yeah, it's a bit weird, but yeah, that's the culture.
It'll take me some time to practice.
Yes.
So can you tell me about this culture?
Yeah, sure. So this one is all about the Nyonya culture. So the dress that I wear,
Please
it's
show us.
Yeah. So it's actually
Very gorgeous flowers.
yes, very colorful, and they with this handmade flower, and also the very beautiful skirt, and it's actually a one-piece skirt. So it's like you have to click into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can make like even though you are skinny or you are fat, it doesn't matter.
One size fits all.
Free size. Yeah, so and actually this is the very traditional dress for Nyamnya, this culture. And for girl, they will call Nyamnya, and for guy, they will call like a Baba.
Baba.
It's like a father in Chinese.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but it's like Baba. And for girl, it's Nyonya.
What are the inspirations that this culture drew from?
Okay, so this culture is actually from Chinese. They combine with Chinese and Malay culture together to actually create a brand new culture, and it's called Peranakan culture. And this culture is actually the kids for like if the Chinese they marry with Malay. Yeah, then their kids will be Peranakan and Malay and Nyonya. Yeah.
Okay.
So they combine this culture to.
It's like a marriage of culture.
Yes, yes. And the culture, like inside, they have dishes, they have clothes, they have shoes, they have this.
Architecture.
Like yes, very nice. And it will into become like the inside there is Chinese culture inside. And the dishes, like usually Malay dishes, they don't eat pork.
Right.
But inside this Nyonya dishes, they will come with pork. They will come with a lot of like ingredients inside to make a very good dishes. Yes, that's all about.
Are you dressed or handmade?
Actually, for this one, it's not really handmade, but for the very traditional one, you have to go and they will have to like measure for you. That one is like they will handmade for you, like the whole everything. Yeah, the shoes also.
Is there any significance to the colors? Because I see a lot of bright colors, green, pink.
For the they will have that's only two color. this green color and this red color is very traditional. But now they create like a blue color. They have different color. But for this one, it's the very beginning. Yeah, they will have this color only. And for usually for the red color is for maybe younger girls. Yeah, but for actually green color is more about for like maybe more mature lady.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're very diplomatic. More mature lady.
Yes. Oh, I can't say that word.
What about young boy?
Yes.
Not that young.
Yeah, so that's about the color. But now they will create like very creative. They have different colors, and also like they were very creative of all this patterns. Yes, yeah.
Can I ask you a question about Singapore? If you were to describe Singapore in one word, to try...
Just one word?
Yeah, no, but there's more. In one word, to try to attract tourists to Singapore, what would it be? Or a sentence, if you feel like talking.
I would like to say maybe that's a really green and safe city. So that you can, country, not city only. Yeah, it's very safe, green, and environments, the peoples, everything there is so awesome. Sorry, because I'm studied there for around 5 years, so I'm very familiar with their culture, and they're really very nice. It's very nice country.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you. I
So
think
that
she
is
has
Singapore.
lots of words to describe.
I know, one word is not enough.
Not enough.
One word is not enough.
Yes. So
This is Singapore,
Yes.
and from Singapore we are moving to where?
Labuan.
We are moving to Malaysia.
Yes.
You know, she was just talking about the Malay culture and how they've mixed it with the Chinese culture to come up with the culture that she was talking about, whose name that I cannot say out of fear that I will say it wrong. But we arrived to the Malaysian booth here at the Cities of Charms Pavilion at China-ASEAN Expo. And their city of charm is Labuan. And Labuan, I'll tell you a few things about Labuan before we go to Thailand, because they have a good performance right there.
Oh yeah. We will just travel there later.
Labuan is an island. It's actually a group of 7 islands, 1 major island and 6 small islands. And Labuan actually means it comes from a word in Malay, which is also Labuhan, which means a port or anchorage. So it's a port city. It's really well known. Labuan is very well known for its spots for scuba diving and scuba diving.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also known as an offshore financial center. So this is Labuan in Malaysia. Right. Shall we move?
Let's go.
Actually, there's a smell it smells of a good food. I don't know what it is, but I don't know.
I think they're drinking.
I don't think that's it.
So let's take a look
Yes.
at the performance of the Thailand.
A fun fact about Malaysia and Chinese tourists is that Malaysia, along with Thailand, which we're seeing right now, Indonesia and Singapore, these are part of the top 10 destinations where Chinese spend the most money.
Wow. The most money just to spend in Thailand.
Thailand is number 1. We have Indonesia in number 6, followed by Singapore, number 7, and Malaysia, number 10. That's where Chinese people love to go and spend money the most.
Sawadee ka.
It's their control. It's the control that they have over their hand movement is just incredible.
Yes.
When they extend their hands, this is just incredible.
So there will be more performances this afternoon.
Well, it's festivities all day, every day from now until the 15th.
Wow, that's fantastic. So local people could take a look at these expo, this exhibition as well.
Right. So this is Thailand.
Yeah,
Let's go
Sawadee ka,
check.
Nanning.
Say that again.
Sawadee ka.
Sawadee ka.
Yes, very good learner.
Very fast learner as well. All right, so we're just going to go to see what Thailand's booth is offering.
What kind of foods you like?
Veggies, fruits. I'm a sucker for carbs. I love to eat carbs. So bread, spaghetti, anything that has carbs in it, count me in.
Tell us more about halal food. We know you will do a story about that.
I'd like to keep that under wraps until it's published.
Here we are.
But as part of the Islamic culture, let's say in Brunei and Malaysia, halal food is being right now here at the CAEXPO, the China-ASEAN Expo, being promoted by a handful of exhibitors. So if you guys want to know more about that, stay tuned to CGTN. In the next few days, we will talk about that.
Okay, we're all very looking forward to that.
Now
they offer the food and
not just
traditional
any
fruit.
Not just any fruit. It's durian.
Yeah.
It's durian. Can you? Now durian has a reputation
Of abundant nutrition.
also with the smell.
Oh yeah, it smells good.
I guess it depends. It depends with whom you're speaking, because I know in China, durian is in high demand because you practically see durian everywhere in supermarkets. I traveled to Yunnan a few years back, and I know that they were serving pizza with durian on top of it. But durian
Pizza with durian?
Yes. I did not dare to try it because durian is notorious for its smell. I know that it's nutritious. I know that it has vitamins and it's really good, but it's also notorious for its smell, which sometimes could be a bit too much for one to handle. But it seems that people here are enjoying it.
They're enjoying it.
That's the highlight of Thailand's booth. You know, Thailand, when you speak about Thailand, you speak about freshness, you speak about fresh water, fresh air, fresh fruits right now. And so a lot of demand for waffles with
I think
durian.
we like it. We like it very much.
I'm sure that if I dare to try it, I would like it. So far I have not tried it. But with
Do you want to have a try?
maybe later.
Okay.
Maybe later.
because
I'll save
it's
save some
lovely over
space
there.
for lunch. Now, with that, we arrived to the end of the broadcast. We went through a trip from China to the 10 ASEAN countries, namely Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand.
Wow.
Yes, this is by alphabetical order as well. So
You are a very good counter. Yeah. 11 countries.
11 countries in total, 11 cities of charm.
Yeah.
All of them have beautiful nature, beautiful heritage, cultural heritage, and very interesting stories behind some of their cultural and historical highlights.
So as a foreigner, which one impressed you most?
I think that there's something interesting about each and every booth that we went through, whether it's the people that we spoke to, and everyone seems eager to speak about what their culture is about. And at the end of the day, this is what this expo is all about, for human-to-human connections, for more integration between China and ASEAN countries, not just on official levels, but also on people to people. You see representatives from ministries, you see representatives from not just China, but also the ASEAN countries, and everyone is here having a good time, either watching performances or trying some new food, sampling durian or rice. And so,
They're very curious about our live show.
I don't think that she actually knew about our live show. But so yeah, I think it's a good place. A lot of loud music, a lot of good performances. In Chinese, they say "热闹," right? Like,
yes.
So what do you think?
Crowds of people.
Yes, over 66,000 exhibitors and visitors have already signed up. And on the 15th, it's going to be the open day for everyone. So this year is going to be even bigger than other years here at CAEXPO. What did you think about this?
I think the visitors this year just hit record high. Yes, and you know that China is also very important for ASEAN countries. We have already taken a look at these 11 cities of charm, and you know that China will just strengthen cooperation with these ASEAN countries because this year's theme is promoting the regional economic integration through tourism. So it's very important.
Yes, it is. And with that, we come to the end of our live broadcast here from the Pavilion of Cities of Charm at the China-ASEAN Expo in Nanning, South China's Guangxi Autonomous Region. We're coming back tomorrow with a different theme and a different live broadcast, so do stay tuned with us. If you have any comments, questions, or experiences about travel in China or around ASEAN countries, do share them with us at CGTN on our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Weibo, WeChat, pretty much any social media. This was Nadeem from CGTN Digital and the very talented Suyu team.
Thank you very much, Nadine, for having me.
Thank you for coming along.
Yeah.
And we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Goodbye.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. Bye.